Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Awesome. So today we're going to delve into something, well, a bit darker this time.
Oh,
Yeah. The potential downsides of video games, specifically their impact on mental health.
that's a big one. I'm intrigued.
Right. We're basing this deep dive on this fascinating article called The Dark Side of Gaming, How It Affects Your Mental Health. And, our goal is to really uncover not just the risks involved, but also hopefully some practical tips, right, for how we can keep things balanced and enjoy gaming in a healthy way.
Finding that balance is key. Games can be incredibly engaging, but like anything, moderation is important.
Exactly. And actually, the article starts off by, acknowledging all the good stuff about gaming,
Yeah.
which makes sense.
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. Immersive visuals, captivating stories, the thrill of competition, the social connection, these are all incredibly powerful draws. Games are designed to keep us hooked, and they do a fantastic job.
Totally. I mean, who hasn't lost track of time, right?
Yeah.
Completely absorbed in a quest or strategizing with friends online. It's so easy to get drawn in.
It is, and that's part of the appeal, isn't it? But as the article points out, that's also where things can, start to tip over into a less healthy territory.
It's like those very elements, the rewards, the achievements, the constant stimulation, they're designed to keep us engaged, but they can also lead to, well, excessive engagement.
Right, and that's when gaming can start to overshadow other important aspects of our lives.
Exactly. And the article actually talks about how the World Health Organization even recognizes this, right, as something called Internet Gaming Disorder, or IGD.
Yeah, IGD. And it's not just about playing a lot of games. It's really about the loss of control over those gaming habits. When it starts to interfere with work, school, relationships, even when there are negative consequences, that's when it becomes a real concern.
That's a good distinction. So it's not the amount of time, but the impact it has.
Precisely. It's about the grip it has on your life.
Wow. I've always wondered about like the brain science behind this, like is it similar to other types of addiction?
The article touches upon that, and research has shown that gaming does activate those reward pathways in the brain, similar to what we see with drugs.
Wow, really?
Yeah. It's fascinating. Every time we achieve something in a game, our brains release dopamine,
Hmm.
that neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward. And that reinforces the behavior, making us want to do it again and again.
So it's like we get hooked on that dopamine rush.
Exactly. It's a powerful cycle.
That is intense. And then the article also dives into some of the, I guess, other significant psychological impacts, like social isolation, for example. Talks about how, those virtual connections can sometimes start to replace real-world relationships.
It's a valid concern. Spending too much time online can lead to feelings of loneliness and withdrawal from real-life interactions. It's about finding a healthy balance.
Right. And sleep deprivation too, right? I mean, late night gaming marathons, they got to mess with your sleep schedule.
Absolutely. And that lack of sleep, it just has a ripple effect, Leads to fatigue, irritability, problems concentrating. It impacts our ability to function at our best.
Makes sense. You're not getting the rest you need.
Exactly. And it's interesting, the article also mentions how gaming can sometimes become a coping mechanism,
Yeah.
especially for people dealing with, pre-existing mental health conditions like anxiety or depression.
Well, that's interesting. So it's like finding a temporary escape in a virtual world.
Yeah, exactly. And in some ways that can be beneficial, right? A way to de-stress,
Yeah.
unwind. But here's the thing, and the article points this out too. Relying too heavily on gaming to cope, well, it can backfire.
Oh, how so?
Well, think about it. You're using gaming to escape anxiety, right? But then you encounter a setback in the game. You lose a match. You fail a mission. That can actually trigger those feelings of anxiety you were trying to avoid, potentially making them worse.
So it's a double-edged sword in a way.
It can be, and it's crucial to be mindful of that.
Absolutely. And what about the physical toll of excessive gaming? I mean, we've all heard about things like carpal tunnel syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
The article definitely delves into that. Repetitive strain injuries are a very real concern. Hours spent on a keyboard or controller can put a lot of stress on your wrists and hands, leading to things like carpal tunnel.
and then there's the sedentary lifestyle too.
Right. Spending hours sitting in front of a screen, it's not exactly conducive to physical activity. So yeah, increased risk of weight gain and obesity is definitely something to be mindful of.
And even vision problems, right? Like I've heard of something called digital eye strain. What exactly is that?
So digital eye strain, it's basically a group of eye and vision-related problems that result from, well, prolonged use of digital devices, computers, tablets, phones, you name it.
Makes sense. We're all glued to our screens these days.
We are, and the symptoms can range from, just eye dryness and headaches to blurred vision, even neck and shoulder pain. And over time, it can potentially lead to more serious vision issues.
Okay, this is making me rethink my screen time habits for sure. So how do we break this cycle, right? How do we find a healthier balance with gaming?
Well, the article offers some really practical advice, I think. And one of the biggest things is setting those clear time limits.
Time limits. Easier said than done sometimes.
I know, right? But think of it like budgeting. We budget our money, why not budget our time too?
That's a good way to look at it.
Right. And the article also emphasizes the importance of, pursuing other engaging activities.
So not just gaming, but other things too.
Exactly. Spend time with loved ones, get some exercise, pursue hobbies. It's all about creating a more well-rounded life, a healthy mix.
A healthy mix. And I guess being mindful of our emotions, right,
Right.
and behaviors,
Yeah.
recognizing those warning signs.
Absolutely. Self-awareness is huge. And, if you start noticing those signs of addiction or increase anxiety or depression, don't hesitate to reach out for help, professional help.
Right. So therapy.
Yeah, therapy can be incredibly beneficial. There are therapists who specialize in gaming addiction, and they can help you develop those coping strategies, those tools to manage those problematic behaviors.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And what about parents and guardians? What role do they play in all of this?
Oh, they play a crucial role. The article really emphasizes that, especially for younger players. Setting boundaries, monitoring the content their kids are exposed to, having those open conversations, that's all so important.
It's about creating that awareness.
It is.
Look,
And fostering those responsible gaming habits early on.
right. Because I mean, we've covered some pretty heavy stuff today.
We have.
But it's important to end on a note of, empowerment, I think. Like gaming can be a source of so much joy and creativity, but we have to be aware of those potential downsides
Right.
and make conscious choices.
I agree. It's about taking ownership of our relationship with gaming.
Exactly. And you know what I found really interesting in the article? It's this subtle suggestion to kind of flip the script.
Flip the scripts. How
Uh,
so?
Yeah. Like, what if we could take all those engaging elements that draw us into games, right? The challenges, the rewards, the sense of progression. And what if we could apply those to other areas of our lives?
Oh, I see what you mean, like harnessing those elements for good.
Exactly. Imagine if we could make learning or work or even personal goals feel more like a game.
That's a fascinating thought. Turning those potentially addictive qualities into a force for positive change.
Right. I mean, food for thought, right? How could you gamify your own life in a positive way? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Hit us up online. Let's keep the conversation going. Until next time.
See you then.